This is Genki 2, Lesson 14, Grammar Point 3. This grammar point is about the verbs ageru, kureru, and morao. These are verbs that you use to describe giving and receiving things. So the first two verbs here, ageru and kureru, are both verbs of giving, but they're used in slightly different contexts. So ageru means to give from me to you or to a third party, or if you give to a third party or one third party gives something to another third party. This is pretty similar to how we use give in English. The second verb, kureru, is a verb that exists in Japanese, but it doesn't exist in English, so sometimes this one is a little more difficult to catch on to. So kureru is used to mean somebody gives something to me or to someone else in my in-group. This is all illustrated in this image at the bottom of the page that comes from the Genki textbook. You'll see that with the verb ageru, the motion of the item being given is away from oneself, whereas kureru indicates that the giving, that oneself or one's in-group is the recipient of the object. So the sentence patterns for both ageru and kureru focus on the giver as the topic and the subject of the sentence. So the giver can be marked with particle wa or particle ga, depending on what else is happening in context. The person who receives the item is marked by particle ni. The object that is being given is marked by direct object particle o. And then you would use ageru or kureru as your verb, depending on the direction of the item. So ageru and kureru are both ru verbs, so they conjugate as agemasu and kuremasu, or agete, kurete in the te form. So we have two examples here. Watashi wa tomodachi ni presento o agemashita. I gave a present to my friend. So in this case, the item is moving from me to another person. That's why I use the verb ageru. In the second example, ryoshin ga atarashii kuruma o kuremashita. My parents gave me a new car. You'll notice that the watashi ni is left out of this sentence. That is often the case with sentences that use kureru because the implication of the verb kureru is that the speaker is the recipient. Now sometimes you would use kureru when somebody in your in-group is also given something. An example of this might be Sensei ga tomodachi ni hon o kuremashita. The professor or the teacher gave my friend a book. In this case, when you use kureru, you emphasize the fact that you and your friend constitute an in-group. Kureru often has the nuance or the meaning that by somebody giving you an object, you have somehow benefited from this action. This comes into play a little bit with this grammar point in this lesson. I will say in later lessons when we learn about the te ageru, te kureru, and te morao, that this can also apply to actions as well. But that's a little bit further down the road. The other verb that you learn in this grammar point is morao. So morao means to receive, and when you use the verb morao, the emphasis of the sentence is on the person receiving the item. So your recipient will be marked with particle wa or particle ga. The person who is the giver would be marked with particle ni or particle kara, which you can think of as from. Again, your direct object is marked with particle o, and then the verb morao, which is an u verb, so it conjugates as moraimasu in the mas form, moratte in the te form. So you could say something like, ane ni fuku o moraimashita. I got some clothes from my older sister, or I received some clothes from my older sister. So that is the basic lowdown on ageru, kureru, and morao. I find it helpful to think about the fact that kureru means give to me, and it's not something that has a direct equivalent in English. So of these three verbs, I have found it's sort of the most challenging one for people to use correctly.